I want to talk to you about Old Nan. Um, Old Nan is much loved by all the Starks and has left her impressions on all of them, including Catelyn. Her stories are recalled throughout the book and TV series. Nan came to Winterfell as a young mother and wet nurse to Brandon Stark, and she never left. She has faithfully taken care of generations of Stark children. Nan's sons and grandchild all died while in battle with the Starks. The sons in Robert's Rebellion, the grandson at Pike fighting the Greyjoy Rebellion. Hodor is the only one that remains. Bran is the Stark who is stuck with Nan day in and out. She cleans him, she watches over him, she keeps him from being lonely, which only made things worse. Sometimes he would tell her, "I hate your stupid stories." And Nan replies, "No, my little lord, not mine. The stories are before me and after me, and before you too." Nan included the future in the story's origin. Does history repeat itself? Nan's stories are first recalled by Bran at the beheading of the Night's Watch deserter. Bran recalls Nan's view of the wildlings. They were cruel men, slavers and slayers and thieves. They consorted with giants and ghouls. They steal girl children in the dead of night and drink blood from polished horns. Their women lay with the others in the long night to sire terrible half-human children. Ned even tells Catelyn that he may have to ride north to deal with Mance Rayder after that. And Catelyn tells him there are darker things beyond the wall. Even Cat has listened to Nan. Until that morning, no living man had ever seen a direwolf. So some things old Nan said are perhaps coming true. Bran remembers the three-eyed crow and thinks, "It was just a lie. I can't fly. I can't even run." Nan says, "Crows are all liars. I know a story about a crow." Nan seems to have a story for all occasions. The tales vary from long tales of death, life, love, and consequences of actions to thousands and thousands of years ago. Brandon the Builder raised Winterfell, and some said the Wall. The tale of the long night is highly prophetic, and it shows history does repeat itself. "Oh, my sweet summer child, what do you know of fear? Fear is for the winter, my lord, when snows fall 100 feet deep and ice wind comes howling out of the north. Fear is for the long night, when the sun hides its face for years at a time, and little children are born and live and die all in darkness, while dire wolves grow gaunt and hungry, and white walkers move through the woods. A winter fell that was cold and hard and endless beyond all memory of men. There came a night that lasted a generation, and kings shivered in their castles as swineherders in their hovels. Women smothered their children rather than see them starve, and cried and felt tears freeze on their cheeks. In that darkness, the others came for the first time. They were cold things, dead things. They hated iron and fire and the touch of the sun and every creature with hot blood in its veins. They swept over holdfasts and cities and kingdoms. They felled heroes and armies by the score, riding their pale dead horses and leading hosts of the slain. All the swords of the men couldn't stay their advance. Even maidens and suckling babes found no pity in them. They hunted the maids through frozen forests and fed dead servants on the flesh of human children. Now these were the days before the Andals came, long before the women who fled across the narrow sea from the cities of the Rhine, and the 100 kingdoms of those times were the kingdoms of the first men. The first men had taken these lands from the children of the forest. Yet here and there, in the fastness of the woods, the children still lived in their wooden cities and hollow hills, and the faces on the trees kept watch. So as cold and death filled the earth, the last hero determined to seek out the children, in hopes that their ancient magics could win back what the armies had lost. He set out into the Deadlands with a sword, a horse, a dog, and a dozen companions. For years he searched, until he despaired of ever finding the children of the forest in their secret cities. One by one his friends died, and his horse, and finally even his dog, and his sword froze so hard the blade snapped when he tried to use it, and the others smelled the hot blood in him and came silent on his trail, stalking him with packs of pale whites and spiders as big as hounds. These are Old Nan's tales, and Theon interrupts it and tells Bran that the children of the forest have been dead and gone for thousands of years. All that is left of them are the faces in the trees. And Master Lewin denies the truth of Old Nan's stories, but he cannot explain the direwolves, nor Rickon and Bran's dreams. Yoren tells Master Lewin, down here might be true that you can see what's dead and what's not, but up there a man can't always tell what's alive and what is dead. Other quotes from Old Nan include, dark wings, dark words. Another one, when the snow fell and the ice winds howled down from the north, farmers left their frozen fields and distant holdfasts. They loaded their wagons and come to Wintertown. Then Wintertown comes alive. Just one of the little things that Nan says. Arya recalls Old Nan's words while in the dungeons and the tunnels of the Red Keep. She's remembering what Nan always described, that there were spiders and rats as big as hounds. This is where the dead come, walk, thinking the crypts of Winterfell. This is where the dead walk. The Starks have wolves' blood in them, though it is stronger in some than others. That's a frequent quote of Old Nan's. Bran questions everybody about the comet. Osha and Nan have the same assessment. They agree. Osha says, blood and ice, boy, and nothing sweet. Old Nan cannot see the comet, but she declares, dragons, lifting her head to sniff. It be dragons, boy. She could smell dragons. There was a man imprisoned in a dark castle by evil giants, and he escaped, but no sooner was he outside the castle than the others took him and drank his red-hot blood. So many tales she has to tell, some good, some not so good. Old Nan could also name the king's guard, and said they were the finest swords in the realm. She tells Bran about a boy who climbed too high and was struck by lightning, and how afterwards the crows came to peck out his eyes. Arya remembers all the folks at Winterfell, including Old Nan. Why was Nan mentioned separately? Old Nan tells Bran Hodor's real name is Walder. No one knew where Hodor came from, she said. And when he started saying it, they started calling him by it. And Bran says it was the only word he had. Now is that foreshadowing or what? It was the only word he had. Jon, when Ghost finds the hand of the White, thinks of the others. Even the thought made him feel foolish. He was a grown man now, a black brother of the Watch, not the boy who'd once sat at old Nan's feet with Bran and Robb and Arya. In Jon's memories of old Nan's tales of the others, click, 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 in that darkness the others came, riding their dead horses. And dead they were, and they hated iron and fire and the touch of the sun and every living creature with hot blood in its veins. Why iron? That reminds me of the iron swords in Winterfell's crypts. Maybe a connection there that we may find out in the future. These tales are told throughout the generations of Starks. She is the one all the Starks remember with love, caring, and respect. Old Nan lives on, and she was taken prisoner and is being kept at the Dreadfort. Why has this one woman lived so long? Why is she still alive and listed as a prisoner at Dreadfort? As we look at the influence of this one woman on so many lives in this time, we see George R.R. Martin has shown that each of us have an impact on those around us. Old Nan was loved, but no one believed her tales at first. Now, no truer sage is known in a song of dance of ice and fire. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll come back. Come see us tonight at 7:30, and the Golden Girls of Westeros will be discussing prophecy. Thank you. Good night.